provided that information to the American people who had then been misled. And the Russians knew all of this, making Mike Flynn compromise.
Told
that we were alluding to or discussing with Mr. McGahn. I think his point when he made that point to me was that he wasn't sure why the Department of Justice would care about one lying to another, not to be discussing whether that was in fact a crime.
And the reason you told him was what?
Was that, it was a whole lot more than one White House official lying to another. First of all, it was the Vice President of the United States, and the Vice President had then gone out and provided that information to the American people who had then been misled. And the Russians knew all of this, making Mike Flynn compromised now.
You said it earlier, I believe, that Mr. McGahn asked you if you thought they should fire General Flynn at that point.
Right.
And what was your response?
Told him it was not our call as to whether General Flynn was fired, that we were giving them this information so that they could take action, the action that they believed was appropriate.
On February 14th, after General Flynn resigned, Sean Spicer said, and I quote, "There was nothing in what General Flynn did in terms of conducting himself that was an issue." Do you have any idea what he meant by those words?
No, I'm not. All I can say is he didn't reach that conclusion from his conversation with us. I can't speak to how he arrived at that.
Let me ask you, there was a period of time, 18 days, that we've referred to during the course of this. And during that period of 18 days, a number of things occurred. General Flynn continued to serve as the National Security Advisor for 18 days after you had briefed the White House about the counterintelligence risk that he posed. And during those 18 days, General Flynn continued to hire key senior staff on the National Security Council, announced new sanctions on Iran's ballistic missile program, met with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe along with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and participated in discussions about responding to a North Korean missile launch, and spoke repeatedly to the press about his communications with Russian Ambassador Kislyak. Ms. Yates, in your view, were there national security concerns in these decisions being made after the information you shared with the White House?
No, I was no longer with DOJ after January 30th, so I wasn't aware of any actions that General Flynn was taking, so I couldn't really opine on that.
General Clapper, would you comment? If you had the warning from the White House, or pardon me, from the Department of Justice to the White House about General Flynn possibly being compromised here, and then these important national security decisions that followed, would you have concern about that?
Well, I would. Hypothetically, yes. I mean, again, I was gone from the government as well when all this happened.
You've had quite a career in intelligence and national security. And here you have a man that's been told, the White House has been told, he could be compromised and blackmailed by the Russians, continuing to make the highest level decisions of our government.
Well, it is certainly a potential vulnerability. There's no question about it.
I would say so. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.